Okay. Um, so, as we have this conversation about taxes, um, and we know that taxes are highly debatable, that right now in our country, the two major political parties have vastly different opinions on what the tax code should look like. They also have vastly different opinions. Well, they also have slightly different opinions about what government spending should look like, but we'll get to that later. We're still on taxes. Um, we know that one political party thinks that the richest Americans are not paying their fair share in taxes in the richest corporations, and that the tax burden should be shifted onto the more wealthy Americans. I mean, the other political party thinks that if you were to lighten the load, lighten the tax load of the richest Americans, that they would then be able to expand their businesses, which would create more jobs, which would help everyone. I don't know. Um, and this is kind of where the battle lines have been drawn. But there are alternative tax approaches. Um, and the two main alternative tax approaches discussed by major economists and politicians are the flat tax and the value added tax. Let's start off with the flat tax. The flat tax says everyone gets taxed the same on their income, no questions asked. No loopholes, no write offs. Every person, every corporation, everything flat, straight across the board, equal taxes, which I understand. The appeal to this concept, it's an appeal that has to do with equality. And in the United States, we believe generally, and this is, not everyone, but we believe that things should be equal pretty much. We do believe in equality and political equality and economic equality, equality under the law, etc. Um, in fact, a few presidential cycles ago, there was a guy by the name of Herman Cain who ran for president as a Republican. And under his plan, he called it his 999 tax plan. And he believed that income should be taxed at 9%, that there should be a federal sales tax on top of the state sales taxes, which exist. So California's got a 7% sales tax. He wanted to add 9% to that, and that corporate tax should be 9%. He says that if you did this, it would create equality and it would help balance the budget, because let's face it, folks, we have a debt problem in our country. We have a deficit problem in our country. Bottom line, for the last 40 years, we've been borrowing a lot more money than we've been taking in taxes. And there's only two ways to fix that problem: raise taxes or cut spending. We'll get into spending, but here's his idea of how to raise taxes a bit. Problem with flat taxes, though, is that we don't really know, but economists assume that you would have to have an income tax of 23% straight across the board to cover our bills. Okay, right now, going back to our tax code, if you make less than $10,000 a year, your income tax is 10%. Then if you're in that next zone, which I believe still keeps you in the what's considered to be like lower class, maybe this is an area where you might get government help. 15% till you get to 37,000. This is now where you begin the middle class of 25%. So you have to, what that means then is that the two lowest tax brackets in our country, the first tax bracket is unsurvivable, right? Unless you're like with chipping in with someone or you're a college kid. That's what I made when I was in college. you would see a raise in taxes. Okay. And then the middle tax bracket here, which most Americans fall in this basic range, 40 to 90,000. That's the basic range. Okay. Once you get above $90,000 a year, you're talking about being in the top 10% of all earners as an individual, not as a married couple. So what we're saying is that the majority of Americans would see a 2% tax break, but who would see the big tax break would be this next bracket, 28%. These people are probably your top 5 to 10%, not the top 5%, like your next 5 to 10%. And then they would see a tax break, but then the real people who see the tax break would be the richest Americans, right? So in a flat tax that we're hearing, the poor would get taxed more, and the rich would get taxed less. Now, I know what you're saying, Marina. What about loopholes, right? You just told me that Bezos and these people have ways of getting around taxes. Mitt Romney paid 13% on his $30 million 2011 tax bill. Obama paid 18%. I just saw another number where in 2014, Obama paid 20%. He only made 400,000, only 400,000. Those words should never leave my mouth. But yeah, it's true. That these people do have ways of getting around taxes. Okay, I think that they said the reason why Obama's tax percentage was 20% in 2014 was because he gave so much to charity. Okay, fine, but then not only are we saying that, so maybe these people will pay a higher percentage in taxes. Capital gains tax was sitting at 15 to 20%. So certainly those people would pay more. That capital gains would be taxed at 13%. Everything, all income would be taxed at 13%, including corporations, which are also around that basic area. Amazon paid 0%, so they would pay a lot more. So under the flat tax system, we see that there are some ways that maybe the rich aren't going to get away with it. But then what about the rich people who don't have all these tax breaks, who don't have businesses and write-offs, or do all rich people? I don't know. I'm not a rich person. I don't know any. Actually, my cousin married into some money, so good for him. But I don't ask him those kind of questions. So maybe I should. Okay, anyways, I digress. So maybe this would raise taxes on everyone, but then you ask yourself the moral question: do you want to take money out of the pockets of the lower class and potentially give that money to the upper class? These are all questions I don't have answers to. Okay, when you look at Herman Cain's idea with a 999, understand that the income tax is a flat tax, but some economists consider it a regressive tax. Okay, the reason being is that we all need to spend a certain amount of money to eat and pay the bills. Okay, and that generally speaking, the less you make, the higher percentage of your income goes to those two things, right? The two most important things in life: food, water, shelter, to eat and to pay the bills on your house, your housing bills, your electric bill, your heating, all of the utility bills. Yeah. And if I'm making, let's say I'm making from lower class, I'm making $2,000 a month, and I'm probably spending all of my money on those two things: food, shelter. But if I'm making 200 grand a month, I'm not spending probably $200,000 a month on food and shelter. I seriously doubt it. I mean, I knew a rich guy once. Well, he was a friend of a friend, and my buddy was staying with him at this place up in Hollywood Hills. It was gorgeous. It was like a mansion, but it wasn't like a mansion. It was like a 5-bedroom, 3-bath with a massive guest house. My buddy was staying in the guest house. He was paying $5,000 a month. That's a ton of cash. But if you're making $200,000 a month, I mean, this is one of the top houses you can buy in the city, right? This was a gorgeous house in the Hollywood Hills, the richest part of our city. He's paying $5,000 a month. You're making $200,000 a month. How much are you going to pay on food? Or what are you going to tell me that you spend $195,000 a month on food? Give me a break. The guy used to order Pink Dot all the time. I'm sure he didn't spend anywhere close to that on food. So the percentage of money that you make goes more to food and shelter if you're poor than if you're rich. So some people say that the income tax is a regressive tax. Therefore, the flat tax is now taking more money out of the pockets of the poor. It's taking more money out of the pockets of the poor on the income tax side. And the flat tax is a regressive tax. It's a tax that will hurt poor people more than rich people. I don't know for sure. I haven't crunched the numbers. I'm more of a history teacher than an economics teacher, but that's what it sounds like to me. And maybe you think that's okay. Maybe you think 10% is too little for people to pay on their first $10,000 income, for all people to pay on their vote. But some people, maybe, you just say, hey, you need to pay more, poor people. Okay. Then this might be free. But if you don't, and if you think that there should be ways that the richer people should pay more and the lower income people should pay less because they need that money to survive, and the rich people don't need that money to survive. They need it for their second yacht or their third house or their, whatever trip to Ibiza. I don't know. Then or to Cayman, then the flat tax isn't for you. Also, we have the value-added tax. Apparently, a bunch of European countries have this tax. I don't really understand this tax. Okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But the idea is that you're going to tax the same product multiple times. So if you're talking about a baseball bat, you're going to tax the lumber company now. When it cuts down the tree, you're going to tax the bat making company that makes the bat. Then you're going to tax, Big Five, or whatever sports chalet when they sell the bat. Probably Amazon nowadays, they sell everything. And that would then be three taxes on the same item. Or when we're talking food, I guess are you gonna tax the farmer, right? And then you're gonna tax the shipping company? I mean, I don't know. I don't quite understand this tax as well. And then one of the problems the book says that is probably not going to raise enough. So why are we even talking about it? Well, because this is economics, and we just kind of bouncing ideas off each other and kind of see what you think. Anyways, so these are two kind of out of left field ideas on how to better tax people. And I'm not sure if this is about balancing the budget, or if this is about a fairer tax code. Not sure if our goal should be balancing the budget. I mean, it would make sense. That's my goal in my house. Because if it is, we're doing a really bad job. We have not had a balanced budget since Clinton was president. And we're going to talk about that next.